Get all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
Ghastly greetings, groovy ghoulies, and how the hell are you? Welcome to another edition of the Midnight Black Mass podcast with myself, the Reverend Dan the Dragon Wilson, Andrew Alexander, the one-man gangbang, as he now likes to be called. How you doing?
Yes, that is the greatest nickname ever. It's going to stick. I'm doing well, my friend. How are you? How are you guys?
I'm fan-fucking-tastic. Just got back from a week at Disney World, so life is pretty good. And, of course, our third co-host, a man who's on his retirement tour after 21 years in the sport, has been involved in some awesome stuff, trying to hit all the final big highlights on the way out here, and some awesome stuff yet to come. Excited to talk about that and a whole lot more. The Strong Style Psycho Tank.
What's up, mofos? It's ready to get this shitball underway.
Yeah, it's been a while. We had the break for a couple weeks now. I couldn't do it one week. You guys couldn't do it the next week. And then I was on vacation the next. So I think this might be like after a 3-week break, actually. But we're fucking back, finally. And glad to be back. A lot has gone on since we've been away, as it seems to happen that way. Typically, anytime we take a break, there's just a landslide of pro wrestling news that comes down the pike. It's almost like a daily news cycle now with all the various dirt sheet sites and Twitter and everything else. We'll definitely get to talking about some of the more recent controversies, which, as we talked about before the show, we've addressed many times here on the program, but it is something relevant now. And I think there's some new insight maybe to share, or just a little further explanation, because it's hard to go on Twitter and really give your full thoughts on something like this. So we're definitely going to cover the recent pro wrestling controversies, but first of all, let's talk about the positive, and there's been a lot of it. All around Southern independent wrestling has just been super hot lately. Anarchy's rolling along nicely. But we had a hell of an experience just a couple of weeks ago in Iron City, Tennessee, for the one and only Carnage Cup. Certainly a controversial event. Not everybody's cup of tea. But I can tell you, it was probably the most fun I've ever had at one of those. What about it, Tank?
Yeah, it was fun. Going out there doing what you got to do to win the fucking tournament. But just spending 8 hours there. I mean, I thought some of Ian Rotten shows were pretty bad, but this took the cake. It was in the middle of it was at a campground, which was cool. I mean, the people there were camping and fishing and having a good time, and the taco shack, I must say, were some of the best tacos I've ever had in my entire life. The place looked sketchy, but the tacos were fantastic. And people saw a lot of crazy shit, a lot of blood loss, people going to the hospital, people bitching out of spots, and getting beat with this simple forearm. But, all in all, it was a good time. I mean, me and you and Brad and Bailey went along for the trip, and I think he had a good fucking time too.
Oh, Bailey has always wanted to see a death match live, like other than the stuff we've done in Georgia, which is teeters on that, but it's always more of like an old school blood feud blow off more as what we do, and we'll kind of incorporate elements of that in there without it being like a full blown death match. So Bailey's exposure to it has been pretty limited. To see something like that in person is quite a spectacle. And the guys really cool. Like that's one thing about that style and that whole group. They seem to be a pretty tight bond between those guys. I really had a great opportunity getting to talk to Matt Tremont, who I kind of watched from afar for several years and really enjoyed his stuff. And come to find out, he was a huge Wildside fan growing up in Philadelphia. So he was like marking out to meet me and Bailey, which just blew my fucking mind. And was just the coolest guy. Like all those guys were just super cool. Just really enjoyed the camaraderie. It was a bit of a looser party atmosphere, and deathmatch wrestling, the commentary aspect of it is weird because you can only sell it so much that, like what you're seeing is just so over the top and brutal. So you can get a little preposterous and silly in the commentary without like insulting what the guys are doing. And I thought that was fun too. My commentating partner was a guy named Nathan Hamilton, who's done the last few Carnage Cups and has done some other wrestling stuff. Is mainly like a horror blogger, who actually I'd followed his horror blog for years. There's a blog called Son of Celluloid, and didn't even know it was the same guy. So, it was cool meeting him, and we really hit it off. And seeing Tank in that environment and just how much he's respected by those people, like, really warms my heart. Because he's considered respected veteran in most wrestling circles. To those guys, he's a fucking god, and it was really cool.
Yeah, man, it was I'd met a lot of new guys I never met before, and they were all just making me feel old, saying, "Yeah, you and Masada was the first death match I ever watched," and this other kid's like, "You and Masada had the best death match I'd ever seen." And I was like, "Man, you're making me feel old," but I really do appreciate that. And it was a good day. I sold a lot of merch, like $300 in shirts, so that was pretty fucking cool. And it was just a good time. It was just a little long, but like I said, the tacos were good. I thought I had a hell of a match with Jeff Cannonball. A lot of people said it was the match of the tournament. It was very tame compared to a lot of other shit. I'm not one to go out and just start hitting each other with stuff. I like to build it up. And, I did take a stupid ass finish, but all in all, not too many bumps and bruises. If I could leave a death match tournament without stitches or being carted out, it was a good day, and I was able to drive home that night. So all in all, it was all right.
Yeah, we made it back to the Saudi Daisy area at about it was about 2 a.m, I guess. 1. It wasn't as late as we expected, but it was still pretty late for a show that started at fucking noon. The 8-hour show was a bit much, but I will say they made it. I've only done one other 8-hour show, and this was a lot more tolerable. It could have been due to the booze people were slipping me in the between matches, and just that everybody was so cool. Like I never met half of these people, and they were coming up to me. Like the dude who was the singer for the band they had there, Last One's Alive, he was like, "Are you the Reverend?" I was like, "I've never seen you without your makeup on." So it's just so funny that like there were guys who knew me as that, and then guys who knew me from Wildside, and like they made me feel really fucking welcome and loved. And so it made the 8 hours of screaming enough to endure. And again, Kevin Brennan, say what you want about him, he lived up to his word, as he has always done for me. So, check it out. It's going to be on. It probably actually is, because I've heard people quoting some of my commentary lines to me on Twitter. So I'm assuming it's already out on video at Smart Mark Video. Check it out. It's a fucking spectacle. I can promise you that.
It was just like the Woodstock of deathmatch wrestling. It was just out in the middle of nowhere. Everybody having a good time. There was people from other countries there, and a bunch of different states, and it was fun. I always dread going, but once I get there, I have a good fucking time. It's like pretty much any show for me now. I dread going, but I always have fun when I get there. I've been like that a long ass time. If we can just get Alexander to go to a deathmatch show with us, and no, I take that back. He's been to one and was like, y'all motherfuckers are crazy. I go, yeah, we are crazy. But there was a lot of, kind of hashing, going back. There's a lot of newer guys that really impressed me. Schlack, the dude from Philadelphia or from Jersey, he looks like a fucking killer, man. And if I wasn't already booked, I would drive to Delaware for Combat Zone's deathmatch tournament because he's working some Masada in the first round, and that's enough to sell me to go. You know what I'm saying? There ain't a whole lot of on the indies that would just say, "Oh my God, I'm going to that." I want to go to that. That match alone should sell a shitload of tickets for Combat Zone. And Schlack is a very, like when you see him, you're like, man, this guy's gonna be a fucking asshole. Just because he just looks like a fucking dick who would just beat the shit out of him for no reason. And we're in the back, and he was the most respectful guy I'd ever met in my entire life.
That's awesome. Bailey had that tweet about Schlack, and it applies to you and Tremont and Masada and Cash as well, in my opinion, to a degree. Is that there's that element of danger that's so badly missing from modern wrestling, and everything is like so fragmentized now, and just cornered off into niches that really those guys are mainly in the deathmatch circuit. But you could take any of those guys I mentioned and just take the deathmatch out of the equation, put them on a larger roster somewhere, and they have that element of danger, that Bruiser Brody, Sheik, Abdullah the Butcher vibe of somebody that really could fucking hurt you, that wrestling is sorely missing today. All flavors of ice cream make the world go around, folks. And we're going to get into that more in a minute, I know, but fuck, like those guys, and it's not all the deathmatch guys necessarily, but Schlack in particular, that guy is a star. I mean, he's a star no matter what genre of wrestling you put him in. He's a guy that's going to sell tickets. He has just a presence about him. Like, I haven't seen a guy like that in many years.
And he's tough as nails. I mean, he had done a deathmatch show the week before and had like 40-something staples in him. He took them out before his match. He got split back open, ran off with just a regular hand stapler, stapled himself back up, and then came back and finished the match. Not too many guys are going to do that. Hell, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pussyfoot and go cry to somebody. I was just like, man, that's crazy as shit right there.
That's fucking nuts. And there were rumors that like John Rare was going to get his thumb cut off, or that Spider Bruder was going to get shot with a shotgun. None of that happened, but there was some damn crazy stunts. They had a fishing wire match where the ropes were taken down and put up with fishing line with hooks hanging off of it. So when you hit the ropes, it was just nothing but a bunch of fucking fish hooks. God, what were some of the other crazy gimmicks? Like it was so much overkill to a degree that I'm not even remembering them, but I remember some things like going, what the fuck?
The flaming razor wire.
Oh, yeah, Jesus Christ. No, and that's the reason it was a fucking 8-hour show. And Kevin, if you're listening, just a little friendly promoter advice from one fellow business associate to another, get you a little more guys on the crew because you had about a 4-man crew setting up these giant death matches. And, I mean, it took at times 30 to 45 minutes in between matches to set up the new contraption, ring gimmicks, no rope, barbed wire, whatever. I mean, each one of the matches was some crazy FMW Big Japan stipulation where there was 1,000 light tubes surrounding the ring, or flaming razor wire, or fish hooks, and there was one match where they just had actual fucking wrestling ropes. And so each of these setups took a long fucking time. That was really probably what led to the length of the show, in my opinion.
I know the match before us was Matt Tremont and Josh Crane. I just gave them word to just say, just leave what the fuck's in the ring, leave it there, we'll work around it, because I was tired of waiting. And we went out and just pretty much did a continuation of their match. And we did most of the match on the damn ground anyway, so. But like I said, I had a good time. It was my last Carnage Cup. And I've done a lot of them, and actually won one, and so I thought I had a pretty good career with IWA Deep South. Got put in the Ultraviolet Hardcore Hall of Fame, which I thought that was kind of cool with Trey Mott. And, I think Spider Boudreaux got in. And so now I'm a 4-time Hall of Famer, so that makes me even more of a bad motherfucker.
That's right. God damn it.
You were put in the Hall of Fame without me?
Yeah, it was the first Hall of Fame that you wasn't there to induct me.
How dare you?
Yeah, Alexander, he's my hand-picked personal inductor at all times. I didn't know I was going in, so it really wasn't much of a ceremony. He was just like, "Hey, man, good job," and handed me a plaque.
I mean, that's pretty much exactly how it went down.
He's like, "Tank, you've always done good. Thank you." Handed me the plaque, and I just walked off.
The next Hall of Fame you go in, I'm going to induct you, and I'm going to fucking make you cry.
You make me cry, and I love them anyway. So
I don't know how, and now I'm going to make you cry like hardcore, and I don't know how, but I'm just going to get up there, and I ain't going to stop talking until you start fucking crying. I'll even start lying and making some shit up. I'll start quoting like fucking Armageddon and Green Mile or some shit.
And you start talking about Armageddon and Bruce Willis dying, and I'll be squalling like a bitch.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Tank had to leave his young daughters, and they were putting their hands on the TV screen saying, "Daddy, no!" Yeah, you'll start crying.
Yeah. Y'all been around me enough. It don't take much.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's really not a difficult feat. I don't know why you're bragging about it.
But to do it in front of a large group of wrestling fans, that's different.
We'll see you on August, the weekend of Scenic City. We'll see if I can hold my composure. I doubt it, but we'll see.
Yeah. You got that, and you got one more farewell stop to make, which I'm not. Should I announce it yet? I mean, it's not really tied into anything. I guess I could, but I don't know. I feel like it's an informal place to announce it, and I wanted to announce the match at the same time, and that's not happening until hostile environment. So I guess I'll hold off for now.
Yeah, we'll hold off.
Well, you done fucking brought it up now. Jeez, what a cock tease.
Yeah, well, just keeping you lively. So, but more to come on that. Huge news coming regarding Anarchy in Cornelia and Tank and his farewell. And that's all I'm going to say. But we got stuff to get to before that, so I don't want to overshadow it with that, basically is the thing. Because this past weekend, little family squabble is going to see an end come May 27th, possibly, because Tank and Berg have agreed. Brad Cash laid out the challenge. New Rejects versus the original Rejects. May 27th at the Landmark Arena. It is official, and everybody is excited about that one.
Oh, yeah. That'll be a good time. Just putting an end to the real shitty cover band version of the Devil's Reject.
Ooh. Well, the war of words has certainly been intense.
It's
like going to see Foreigner now. There's no original members. It's like going to see, I don't know. It's like I said, like I've always told you, it's just a bad, shitty cover band.
It's Karabi versus Neil. It's Van Hagar versus Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
It should be interesting, and the first time the Rejects managed by Jeff G. Bailey.
Oh yeah, it's going to
be
not
the first time, but it's the one of the rare times, and then the only time in a Reject versus Reject match for sure.
Somebody's going to walk out without their skull, so it's I say winner take all. Fuck it.
You know, you need another former reject to come in as a special guest referee. Someone,
That's fine.
you know, someone you don't want to get someone huge, you know, because you want to make the competitors look larger than life. You need a smaller former member of the rejects, someone who
geez.
who's the three. I wonder if Patrick Bentley's available. Maybe you can call him.
Maybe he is. Because I know you ain't talking about yourselves because you ain't going to get your lazy ass out of the fucking house. And you were never a reject there, but we could explain it enough.
Hey, I was a good reject. I was a better fucking reject than Brad Cash.
You were a great reject. I
Yes,
just
you
said you
were.
weren't one in Cornelia. That's all.
Yeah. Cornelius more than Milia. Screw them. Fuck them. They never did nothing for me.
A bucket of shit would have been a better reject than Brad Cash.
God. I was just kidding. I mean, not.
And
Brad
here
Cash.
we go.
No, but the Cornelius stuff, I was kidding. Hey, what about who's better reject, Dominus or Brad Cash?
Oh, I mean,
Dominus.
Brad Cash. Oh, come on. Go on. You got to give Brad that one.
Okay,
I mean, he was
okay,
bigger.
Hank. Okay, Hank, how about this? Who's a better reject, Brad Cash or Taylor Chaos?
Wow.
Taylor Chaos.
Oh,
Who the fuck was
God.
Taylor Chaos? I don't remember her.
Oh, man.
110 Trails deal.
Yes. That was the only member of the rejects that I had no say in picking in history.
A blast from the past. So what else
Yeah.
going on that May 27th show?
Oh, May 27th, we got a lot going down. We got the second round of the Landmark Heritage Title Tournament, the Nightmare, also known as Kyle Matthews, but with his new masked-looking persona that the people are really digging. He's going to be taking on Ryan Vega, who's been on a tear since he's debuted. Now, he lost his debut match, but he really made a splash, so to speak, with that debut. And then after that, he stabbed AJ Gray in the eye with an ink pen and won his first-round tournament match. And then this week, he teamed with former women's champion Crystal Rose in a mixed tag match against the current women's champion, Rock and Roll Roxy, and Justin DeAir from the St. Louis area. And it was a great match, but DeAir went for this crazy dive. They got out of the way. He basically torpedoed the guardrails. It looked like he broke his neck. The referee was down there checking on him. While that was going on, Ryan Vega broke the rules of the mixed tag because we don't do the intergender in Cornelia, and came in and just curb stomped Roxy and pulled Crystal on top of her. So they got another victory. So Vega and Kyle Matthews again in round 2, and then also Wild Billy Buck of Team Tag, now with the consulting of Jeff G. Bailey, will be taking on Jeremy Foster in round 2. Billy Buck beat Tommy Pinarelli in round 1 to advance, and Foster beat, just this past Saturday, Joseph von Schmidt from Germany. So a lot of really good talent came in for this tournament, and it's starting to shape up now. We're going into the second round. So one of those 4 men is going to be the new Landmark Heritage Champion. That's a pretty cool title. I've already got the design. Like they've sent me from the belt maker what the title is going to look like. It's one of the coolest looking belts we've ever had. So I'm really excited about that. It looks like the template is like the old Memphis Southern title, but it, kind of added some extra stuff to it to represent like the history of the building. So it's got like the Wild Side logo, the Anarchy logo, the NCW logo, and even the While We Wrestle logo, like all on the nameplates. It's the heritage of the arena. That was pretty cool. Yeah. So excited to unveil that beautiful looking title, then give that to the winner, which will be crowned on June the 10th, 2 weeks before Hostile Environment. I'll drop a bombshell right now about Hostile Environment because we've already signed. So the guy, whoever wins that tournament, no easy road for them because we've signed Anthony Henry to be their first title defense at Hostile Environment. So that's going to be pretty huge.
That'll be good shit.
And then also on May 27th, Strychnine will be taking on the 2016 Georgia Wrestler of the Year, Drew Adler, with the winner becoming #1 contender to Jacob Ashworth's Anarchy Triple Crown Championship. We've seen a lot of dissension in that camp, where they had an 8-man this past week with Gladiator Jeremiah teaming with the Hate Junkies and Jacob against Gunnar Miller and Team Tag. And Gunnar Miller got the pin on Jacob in the match. After some minor miscommunication, Gunnar went for the CTE on Jacob. He moved out of the way. The Hate Junkies were brawling with Team Tag on the apron, so Gunnar hit them and messed them up pretty bad. And then, so, Jacob got in his head a little bit after that, and then Billy helped, and they won. But after that, seemed to be some words between Jacob and the Hate Junkies. They've had a good alliance, and he and Strick were like the best of friends. They were a tag team really until Danny came back into the picture and the Hate Junkies were reunited. Now there seems to be some tension brewing there. And just a couple of weeks ago, there was an interview where, they did their team deal, and then Jacob walked away, and Danny tells Strick, like, hey, man, you helped him win that title. You really deserve a shot. It's kind of bogus that he's not giving you a shot. And Strickland's just, like, pondering it, like, maybe you have a point. And then when it's announced that Strickland's going to get a #1 contendership match, Danny's, like, overly excited to the point that Jacob's kind of giving him the side eye over there. Like, why are you more excited than the fucking guy getting the match? So there's some issues, and it frustrated Gladiator Jeremiah because, he's been at war with Team Tag, and now Bailey and Gunner are added to this mix for months. They fucked his knee up. They put him on the shelf for months. They've tried to take him out. Billy Buck turned on him to join Team Tag. So this war's really been going back to his feud with Kevin Blue at Summer of Hate last year. So last July is when this war started, and Slim's feud with these guys is still going. And he can't get a team that can get their shit together and stay on the same page. So he's very frustrated. He has said he is declaring war on Team Tag and Jeff G. Bailey and Gunnar Miller, and he has a huge announcement to open up the show on May 27th.
Awesome. Dead air.
So, I wonder where that's going.
I bet I know, but I'm not going to say anything.
Well, just tell us if you got an inside scoop.
I've talked to Gladiator Jeremiah, but he asked me not to reveal it early. So it's been a long-time Anarchy fan, and it's the return of Hostile Environment. I'll just go ahead and throw it out on the table for you. You probably know what it is, but you're going to have to be there on May 27th, or watch on Powerbomb TV, just $9.99 a month. Your first 10 days are free. Powerbomb.tv. You can see all of the Anarchy content. We're adding new stuff to the library on a regular basis.
Just tell everybody.
So that's what's going on there.
Styles.
Say it again.
Just tell everybody that it's AJ Styles.
It's not actually, not yet. We haven't gone back that far. We're still working out the details on the full archive, but we are putting up. We've got starting at Fright Night from last year, and then Hardcore Hell of this year, and then every show from Hardcore Hell after that is on there, and will be. We've now got some awesome production upgrades. Really happy with the team we're working with down there now. Just keep making it better for everybody. Had another great house. Just happy to see that operation rocking and rolling and supporting itself again and not losing money every show. It's a situation where we've got things back the way they used to be, and it was a hard road to get there, but I'm excited about it.
Oh, yeah. I guess if we went to Disney, I went to New Jersey for the On Point Survival of the Sickest tournament. That was a good time up there. Missed my flight, so I had to get another flight. That was a pain in the fucking ass. Makes you want to kill some fucking body. You mentioned killing somebody in an airport, and everybody gives you weird fucking looks. So. But got up there, did the show, had a good time, and I just want to say, man, if fucking Zandig or DJ Hyde would have pulled the trigger on me on the East Coast, I believe I could have been a major fucking player up there, because these people up there treated me like I was a fucking god. And it was, I felt well respected by everybody, and I want to thank all those guys for having me up there, and thank everybody that came up, took a picture, bought a shirt, just shot the shit with me. Made an old man feel good. So we don't have to go all into that, but just want to throw that out there. Anybody in New Jersey listening, appreciate it.
That's awesome. And you also ended up winning the AWE Tag Team titles during our break. That's one of the nights that we were not on the air, because I texted you like, "Hey, we're doing a show." You're like, "I've had a show." I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, man. If I would have been able to do the match and then be back in time, I would have done it. But I was like, it was kind of pressing for time, and me and Iceberg beat the Carnies for the AWE Georgia Wrestling Crown Tag Team titles in front of a pretty good crowd at the Museum Bar a couple of Mondays ago. Good time there. It's always fun. Always a treat to team with Iceberg. We're not getting any younger, and each time we get to team up, it really means something. It's something special. And the Carnies are the real deal.
These are limited.
Oh yeah, and the Carnies, these guys are doing it the right way. They're fucking promoting themselves and selling their merch, and they're doing really, really well for themselves. And it's always cool to see that, instead of see them griping and bitching about shit. They just go out and get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys, both former guests on the show, been a big fan of those guys for a few years now. Really like them both on a personal level, and think that they get it in an era where fewer and fewer do, and just nothing but success. I like what they've done with their presentation and everything, and I think big things are coming for those two cats.
And got to hang out with the Homicide that night. That's always a treat. Hadn't been around him in a while. You talk about a cool motherfucker, fucking Homicide D. He's awesome. He's kind of one of the. We had a long talk about it. He was, him and Low Key and the Hit Squad. They were kind of the godfathers of this new style of wrestling. From the East Coast. And he sat there and told me he wishes he'd have learned how to wrestle like a Southerner years ago. He wouldn't be so fucked up and beat up now. I was like, I could have told you that a long time ago.
Yeah, right.
He said he fucking loves Southern wrestling. I was like, no, man, you got to get your shit in, kid. He goes, yeah, that's why I'm fucked up now, can barely walk.
And Jerry Lawler's still throwing drop kicks.
Yep.
So that brings us to an interesting point. I had a great week at Disney. For everybody that gives a fuck, I can probably do a more in-depth episode on my dorky shit for that, because I've got a real nerd boner for that place. But the big topic on everyone's mind, of course, is Randy Orton setting the internet on fire. We're running about 25 minutes left in the show, so we've addressed this debate numerous times on the program, but it comes to light yet again, this time probably on a bigger scale than it ever has. So we're going to maybe touch over some old ground and maybe add some new insight as well. So if you don't know, Rip Rogers, the legendary trainer who has trained most of the guys that came through OVW, he was the head trainer, and you look at that, and that's like 50 some odd guys who ended up going to get jobs. Really good track record. We've got a pretty good track record of putting guys in the big leagues there in Cornelia, but nothing compared to OVW and what they did over the years. They were a direct feeder system, so that had a lot to do with it, of course. But regardless, the results speak for themselves. So, in my opinion, like Rip's, he's not always right about things, but he's got some good insight, and it's worth listening to for damn sure. Like most old timers. And so he posted this tweet that was, your stereotypical indie match, and it just shredded, the modern indie style. And it was a joke, like he was serious but he wasn't talking about every fucking match, and I think that's what these guys got out of it, because there was so much butthurt about it. And then Randy Orton retweeted it, and it became a huge deal. And then he posted an apology, which was just a smart-ass fucking reply. Like, I know I'm not prestigious enough to compete in armories in front of 150 people, but that's cool. I'll be over here making $5 million on this fucking European show, so or European tour that he was on. Like, I just think guys took it too personal. I agree with most of what he's saying. That doesn't mean I think any of you are bad. It just is what it is. Wrestling has many different flavors of ice cream, and in this era, like obviously anything is viable. There's no right or wrong way to do this shit if you're making money and you're getting over. So who the fuck am I to tell you not to do it if you're doing good business and you're doing something with it, But in the same respect, you should listen to the vets as well. I feel like that there's just a level of disrespect that has been thrown the way of guys like Rip and Cornette that's unacceptable. What do you guys think?
Tank, I'll let you go ahead.
I kind of got in a debate on social media over this other day because somebody had posted what Rip Rogers had said, and this person was just kind of like, oh, I'm old school this and old school that and blah, blah, blah. And this person came around the fucking ropes. But I'm not even going to go there. And all I said was, my reply, because everybody was all bitching and arguing about it, is you got good old school wrestling and shitty old school wrestling. You got good newer wrestling and shitty newer wrestling. Whatever your taste is. And some people shit on death matches. I enjoy doing death matches. I enjoy watching death matches. Some of the newer stuff, I like watching it. I just don't love it. You know what I'm saying? I love wrestling. I just don't love this new style, but I will watch it. And some of it is entertaining as hell. The Ricochet and Will Ospreay and the Young Bucks. I mean, they do some cool shit. Does it make sense a lot of times? No. But it's entertainment. That's what people pay their money to see. People pay their money to be entertained. And if that's what floats your boat, then I'll be it. That's what you want to do. That's fine with me. I mean, people pay to watch my stupid ass wrestle. And, sometimes I think, I was like, why do people do that? I'm fucking terrible. But apparently to some people, I'm pretty good. And I'm very basic. I try to throw in a new thing every now and then, and usually don't turn out so well, so I always just say, fuck it, and go back to what I do best. But like I was saying, like death matches, it's not for everybody. High flying, it's not for everybody. Sometimes you got to broaden your horizons and open up to it. But one thing that I will kind of gripe and bitch about is a lot of these guys who want to do this newer style, who aren't really good at it, and they continue to keep trying to do it. Do what you're good at. Just because you see a Ricochet do a bunch of cartwheels, don't mean you need to do cartwheels. He does them good. Let him do that. Do your own thing. And there's so many guys out there that are really fucking good. I mean, Chip Day, this guy Martin Stone, who's at AWA. He was in that England tournament as Danny Burch. I never really watched him wrestle until that night I was down there. I was like, man, this guy's really fucking good. All these guys are really great at what they do. Whether it floats your boat or not, just broaden your horizons and accept it, because it's not going anywhere. And the wrestling goes around in circles. It's old school. There's still some old school aspects of things, but this newer stuff, that's what's the fad. That's what's going to be in for now. So that's all I got to say about that.
Andrew?
Well, I find it interesting that Randy Orton kind of agreed with a lot of stuff we've been saying for a while. I also find it interesting that Rip Rogers, I mean, this is just to the best of my knowledge. I didn't even know about the situation today.
it's interesting that Rip Rogers sent the tweet out. He doesn't get that much hate. Randy Orton shares the tweet, and people lose their freaking mind. You know, I think he's got an extremely valid point. You know, and bravo to him for issuing that apology. That was just a complete smart-ass dick move, because the world is so overly sensitive, it just pisses me off to no end. Like, it's very hard to offend me, and I get that I'm in the minority there, but god damn, people get so bent out of shape about everything. So I'm glad. I loved reading his apology. I thought it was fucking hilarious. You know, I mean, that style of wrestling and those style of matches, they're fun to watch and they're good. But the thing is when you do them every now and then, or when you get to see a good one every now and then, it's cool and it's special and it can mean something. But it has become where it's like every show has matches like that, and I'm sure there's shows out there where every match attempts to be like that, and it just doesn't work for me. I more so agree with, you know, stuff Randy Orton and Rip Rogers was saying, for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt. It takes me back to a conversation I had this weekend to a guy I like. You know, I like him and got to know him, but I told him how crazy he was when he said to me with a straight face that the Young Bucks were better than the Rockers. And then I proceeded to laugh, and then he said, well, you know, the Young Bucks are really better than the Rock and Roll Express. And I just, like, I couldn't even control it. I was like, I don't even know how we can have this conversation. Like what you just said boggles my mind. So there's people that are just, they're into that shit, man. They're drinking the Kool-Aid for sure. And, like, I just thought, you know, that type of, that's one of those opinions where I just can't get involved, because I don't care enough to argue about it, and there's no way ever I would be convinced of it. But it's just interesting, you know. Fans of that style, they're diehard, they're passionate. You got to give them that.
And as I've always said, the fans are entitled to say whatever they want, so it doesn't bother me at all. You know, whatever they say, like, you paid your money, you tell me I'm shit, I don't care. Like, and, you know, if I'm getting booked and getting paid and fucking doing what I like to do, then, you know, and somebody considers me valuable, then oh well. But the workers, that's what really annoyed me about it, mainly because you touched on it, and Tank did too. I think they just missed the point entirely in getting all offended by what he said about their style. And the point was, stand out. That's what's popular now. That's what everybody is doing. So don't do that, because if you do that, you're not standing out. You're not doing anything different. You're not going to be the Young Bucks. You're not going to be Will Ospreay, because you're not going to be Ricochet. Those guys have a market cornered on that. So find something you do to make yourself stand out and be different. And just not enough of that, regardless of how you feel about that. The tweet exchange, the point was that guys are not standing out as a result of this. And it's, again, not every indie match, obviously. Like, it's impossible. Go to any indie show, you'll see a variety of a lot of things. And that's what makes wrestling go around, is a variety of things. So when it's all the same, nobody stands out. So you should try whatever everybody else is doing. You should not do that. You should try to do something different if you want to be paid. It's like, I mean, hell, I wish it was like this when we were first starting, because it was so much easier. It's so much easier to stand out now than it would have been in that era when everybody was trying to do something a little different. Now, you know, there's so many copycats and clones. If you're a young guy coming up, it's real easy to stand out and be different and be unique and special. Just do something different. I saw a guy in Cornelia this past weekend who I've worked with a few times as part of the Viking War Party, but he's now branched off on his own, doing a singles deal as the madman from the Ozarks, Alex Rudolph. You know, he's like a 7-foot dude, dresses like fucking Ted Nugent on early album covers, you know, like animal skins and shit, and comes out swinging a chainsaw around and raising hell, and he's like nearly 7 foot fucking tall. He's a big hairy motherfucker with hair down to his ass and a long fucking beard. He looks the fucking part. He's different, ain't another motherfucker around that looks like that dude and does what that guy does in the ring. So, take cues from him. Be different. Be your own thing. Don't fucking copy everybody else. Nobody can give a fuck.
True.
Yeah.
And anybody that can say the Young Bucks are better than the Rock and Roll Express has got to have their fucking head checked. That's fucking blasphemy.
It's pretty absurd.
I like to smack the shit out of them for even thinking that.
Yeah, the Rockers.
Would those guys even say that?
Man, I didn't even go into detail about continuing, but they said not better than Shawn Michaels, but better than the Rockers. And I said, well, so are you saying they're the best wrestlers on the planet? And they said, yeah, they're the best. They're the best workers out there, on par. And the four they mentioned were the Bucks, Omega, and AJ. That was like the top four best of the best on the planet right now. And, I mean, I don't know about all that. I know AJ probably would get my vote these days. Omega seems to be really good. I've seen just a little bit of him, but I tend to enjoy it. I don't know about him wrestling children and blow-up dolls, but I ain't going to rant like a Jim Cornette would. But nonetheless, just it's crazy to me. Better than the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah, I got nothing for that. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, there's definitely nothing to say. And to say that, I mean, like I said, they're not my cup of tea. They're entertaining as hell. But you've seen one of their matches, you've seen them all pretty much. I mean, especially on the indies, like, I know a lot of people don't really talk about him that much anymore, but I mean, to me, Christopher Daniels is still top 5 best wrestlers in the world, and probably number 1 on the fucking indies. I mean, he's Ring of Honor champion or whatever. I just love me some Christopher Daniels. I don't know what y'all think.
He's fucking awesome.
I think he's fucking great.
Yeah, I've always thought he was
damn
great.
Near, I mean, I'm 46. He's close to my age. He's been wrestling as long as I have, and fuck, he ain't missed a fucking beat. He ain't slowed down at all. And anybody can say the Young Bucks are better than him, they can kiss my ass too.
And see, that's the thing that people like that cracks me up, because I think I lost like 5 followers on Twitter when I tweeted something about that, which was just like, oh, young guys whining about veterans, giving advice. It just seems to me, it comes off to me like you're uncoachable and have a terrible attitude. Whether or not that's true, you're always told to listen and respect the veterans. Like I've said before on the show, I'm sure your grandparents taught you valuable life skills. They may also be notorious racists because that was the era they grew up in. So it doesn't mean every one of their opinions is valid, but it does mean you at least owe them the respect because they've been there and done that, to listen to them and yes, sir, no, sir, and then take what you want from it and take the useful part and leave the rest. But there's no need to disrespect them and scream that they're out of touch because they know a certain way to do things, because you might learn something. There's a time when it's going to call for high spots, and there's a time when it's going to call to slow it down. And you need to be as well versed in all of the various skills you can get if you want to succeed in this business. It's a simple fucking fact. If you go to NXT and the trainers are telling you to fucking slow down, and you come back and tell them, well, you're just out of touch, then you're not going to fucking last very long. Am I wrong?
No, you're going to be out of a job.
You're going
to be back on the thing. You're going to be back on the indies doing your spectacular shit.
Exactly. And like I said, it's not like we're some fucking crotchety old timers. We were involved in the early era of Wildside and all of that great indie wrestling that came out of there. I'm only the guy that gave AJ Styles his fucking nickname, so it's not like I have an aversion to exciting indie wrestling, which is basically created in that era. It's just that there's room for everything. What you all preach but don't abide by, there is room for everything, including veterans, to give you advice. Just saying.
Oh man, I get messages from guys I mean, all the time. You know, if I do this, you know, want a little bit of advice, and then I give them my advice, and about more than 50% of them are like, but why this and but why that? I'm like, okay, I'll just say, okay, we're done, bye. You know, I was like, if you ask me a question, and you're going to question my answer, fuck you. I don't want to listen to your bullshit. It's just, I don't know. It's just the times we're in now, brother. The times we're in.
I reckon so.
It's something that I've noticed for a long time. You know, I guess the WWE and things similar to them, they don't like their pro wrestling and their sports entertainment, and that just drives people crazy. They just hate it. They get all bent out of shape about it. But it's the same people that don't like this. They don't want any sports entertainment in their pro wrestling. They preach about something, but then they do the exact same thing when it comes to a different point of view. You know, when there is room for everything, but yeah, a lot of people will ignore and not. And you know, what's funny about young guys coming up is if they got to sit down with, you know, I don't know about the Young Bucks really, but I bet if they got to sit down with guys like an AJ Styles, a Christopher Daniels, some of these guys that have been around a lot longer that do the style and that used to do even more of that style that these young guys like, they would tell them, you know, a lot of the same type of stuff. Slow down, do less, things such as that. It's all, you know, it comes from learning, and it's come from learning from your mistakes, but it seems like a lot of guys, it's getting less and less guys will actually do that, it seems.
Yeah, and it's weird to me that, like, the whole trend with that same indie movement is you should travel and do as many shows as possible and do as many seminars as possible and learn as much as you can. Well, what the fuck are you learning if you don't listen? You know, like, exactly. I don't get that. And I think social media is a big part of the problem, too, because you're not, like, face-to-face with the person having the conversation where I can express a dissenting opinion in front of someone and deliver it in a tone of respect. But still explain why I don't agree, where on social media you just see it in black and white, and that seems to trigger people into, fuck you, you're insulting me. And it's like, no, they're not fucking insulting you. Nobody's insulting you. We're just trying to have a fucking discussion, which should be behind closed doors anyway, and not on fucking social media for the world to see. And that's a whole other fucking gripe altogether.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of social media, I know it's a totally off subject, but somebody had posted something the other night about Ruby Riott being really good. And I was just joking. And all I said was, she may be really good, but she's the ugliest person on the roster. There were so many butthurt people. Even the Road Dogg, Jesse James, called me a dick and said that was a dick thing for me to say. And I popped just because it was Road Dogg saying I was a dick. That was my mark out moment of last week. The Road Dogg said I was a dick for saying this bitch was ugly. And all I said was, you know, the guy who posted it was like, well, I'm just glad they use her. It's not looks that matter anymore. I go, bro, I didn't say she wasn't good. I think she's talented. She looks like Debbie Downer from Saturday Night Live. I mean, come on, goddamn.
Hey, Tank, okay, if you had to fuck one, who would you fuck, Ruby Riott or Bobby Roode?
Bobby Roode.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, to each their own, you know. There's a market for that.
Speaking of ladies wrestling, what about that Glow trailer? Did you guys watch that today?
I watched it today.
I thought it dropped. Yeah, tell me about it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, just
kind of lazy though. Story of what
Netflix. No, go ahead.
To me, it's just, you know, explaining what the hell it is. Some down on her luck actress trying to find a job, and that's what she ends up doing, being a Glow wrestler, a gorgeous lady of wrestling. I remember watching that shit as a kid. It was like, man, this is great. And then when I got older and I watched it, I was like, God damn, this shit sucks.
It's interesting. That Glow documentary that was on Netflix for a while was fucking awesome, I thought. Like I the wrestling was not good, but it was an entertaining show. I'll give them that. It was something unique.
Yeah,
One
the
thing I
show
remember most about it.
looked fun.
The one thing I remember about it, there was one chick, I forgot her name, did a sunset flip and somehow got her elbow dislocated. And it was the nastiest shit I'd ever seen, like in a wrestling match. And they showed it over and over. And I just remember that to this day. Like, why would they show that over and over? Yeah, I guess they were trying to show, this shit is real, yada, yada, yada. And didn't Ivory from WWE, didn't she wrestle there? Isn't that where she started?
Yep.
Tina Ferrari.
Because I don't think any of the chicks there were like actual wrestlers, were they? Or just a handful of them?
Ivory and the chick that went on to WWE, Tori, not Tori Wilson, but just plain Tori. It was like X-Pac's girlfriend on storyline for a while.
Okay.
She wrestled there as Terry Power.
Okay, I remember what you're talking about now. You had Attila the Hun and Mount Fiji. And then
Mount Fiji.
Chicks.
The best.
And then I know Awesome Kong's on this show, so it's been interesting.
She is?
Yeah. Yeah, she's one of the characters on there.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I was impressed. I like Allison Brie. I mean, she seems like a fine actress, but I just know I want to fuck her mouth really hard. And I'm a pretty big fan of. I'm not a big fan, but I enjoy Mark Maron. He entertains me. I've watched his show about a podcast, which we need some of that shit going on Netflix. Get us some fucking money. But I've watched that show.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen him here and there, and he cracks me up, and he's like the promoter on there. I didn't know that, so I'll definitely check it out. It looks like it'll be fun. Netflix usually pretty much any show I've watched on Netflix I've thoroughly enjoyed. So, hopefully this does well. Anything that brings wrestling to the mainstream in a positive way is cool with me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, if it flops, it would be the first flop from Genji Cohen, who was the creator of Weeds and also Orange is the New Black. So they apparently have pretty high expectations for it.
It should be good. Oh, and then I've been, I listen to, other podcasts and Shivani, and I went back and watched some of that Uncensored show that they were talking about last week. God damn, that was the drizzling shits. That might have been the worst shit I ever seen in my life. Then I went and watched the next year's when they had that fucking tri-level cage or whatever. That match was awful. There's a match on there with Steven Regal and Fit Finlay as Belfast Bruiser. You talk about just two dudes beating the shit out of each other for no reason whatsoever. It's fucking great. And he fucking punches Regal in the eye, and he's just bleeding all over the damn place.
That's
man,
great.
This is good shit. Just go back and watch that. Just watch that one match, and it'll be well worth it.
Great wrestling recommendation from the Strong Style Psycho to close out the show. So we're out of time, folks. Just quick, of course, you can catch me at Anarchy. Most of my duties keep me there. I'll be doing some other stuff over the summer as well. But right now, second and fourth Saturdays, Facebook.com/Anarchy Wrestling. On Twitter at Anarchy Landmark, and you can follow me on Twitter at Dragons Rejects. Tank is on Twitter at Tank _EST 1996. And Andrew Alexander does not want you to find him.
No, I don't. Unless you got some big titties.
Preferably
big fat ass. Preferably female. I mean, it's not.
If you do, you
breaker. But I prefer. Hey,
you can message the Potty Humor Facebook.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a job with the WWE Creative. I want to pitch Adam Cole coming in as Michael Cole's little brother, just so I can see the internet crowd.
That'd be awesome.
any appearances you want to plug before we wrap it up, Tank?
Yeah, I've got a show Saturday in Canton, Georgia for Georgia Premier Wrestling, a cage match with Cousin Cletus at the Anarchy Show, the 27th. I'm in Nashville, June 10th, Southern Underpro Graps, doing a death match with Jesse Butler. And then not much after that, not that I know of or that I just can't think of right now, but it's going to be a fun little summer. The retirement tour rolls on.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for everyone joining in tonight for our big return. Hope we provided some insight on the current controversies from some guys who've been around and done it. But thank you very much again for our producer, Fast-Headed Layne, who is the man and keeps this show rolling. We thank him as well. But that's all, folks. We're out of here. Good night. Keep one foot in the gutter. Keep one foot in the gutter and one fist in the gold. This has been the Reverend in the Midnight Black Mass. Good night.